Paul, I've brought 6 use cases for you today, and I'm allowed to mention the customers. Very often you have reference customers that don't want to be mentioned by name. This is a difficulty every software manufacturer is faced with, particularly in this new environment where automated content is, or content automation is an important topic. What does that mean for me as a user? So we are very happy to have 6 companies we're allowed to mention by name with facts and figures. This is a huge benefit also for us. And it's also a win for this meetup to really know what it means on the business side to have content automation. Today's presentation, well, let me start by giving you some facts and figures on content automation before touching on the use cases and having a look at hard facts and figures. There's one study that's very dear to my heart, is the study by Mario Heim of LMU, Munich University, in Munich, as I said, and he found out in his study, which was the one and only study so far that analyzed in a representative manner if automated content is recognizable, can be distinguished from human written stories. More than 1,000 users were asked. There were a study from the Netherlands and from Sweden, and they had 12 or 24 participants, 25 participants. So this wasn't representative. These were pure trend analyses. But Mario, in his study, asked more than 1,000 or analyzed more than 1,000 users and realized that it can't be told apart. So we are mistaken if we think that if you look at something, you think it has to be automatically generated content. No, most of the users are not able to tell the text apart. In some instances, the automatically generated stories are more fact-based and more convincing, and we will be pleased to share the link to this study if you're interested. This is one of the most important academic studies that realized that there are no differences between automatically generated and human-written texts. The most important moment for me was what I came to call the Kasparov Moment. This has to do with IBM. You might remember back in 1996, Deep Blue, this IBM supercomputer, were able to beat a chess grandmaster, Garry Kasparov. That was a true sensation. The IBM team opened a couple of bottles of champagne, I'm sure. And 2 years ago, when the Stuttgart Zeitung, with their fine dust radar, an automated content based on AX Semantics, reported about fine dust development in Stuttgart and the vicinity, was awarded the Pulitzer Prize of Local Journalism. I mean, I was really, really touched and very happy about that. That was a real sensation. Imagine that a newspaper award, which is meant to be given to human beings, was awarded to the human beings, of course, but the text, the underlying text, was automated content. And that was very important for me in that connection of speaking about the quality of robot journalism, to use a different word. And that was a real breakthrough. So that was my personal Kasparov moment, this journalism award. And we all know, be it in tourism, in e-commerce, wherever a lot of content is needed, it is a tiring undertaking. We know that in handwritten text, there are typos, there are errors, there's no stable quality, and we're very slow when it comes to the implementation. Yesterday, only I spoke about that topic. Someone wanted to write 10,000 pages of text in the field of tourism, speaking about the latest Corona regulations in certain hotels in order to give a booking stability, a certainty to the customer. But I can't fill in these texts by hand. So I make reference to the operator website website or to the binding regulations. I don't need that anymore if I can do it in an automated way. I fill in the rules and say those rules apply in these countries and in those regions. These rules apply. I click on a button, on a key, and the text is filled in, the content is filled in automatically, and I can see what measures apply in a certain hotel, which is located in a certain region and country. We know that this varies a lot at this point in time. And this is why it's a scalable model. And it's different than if you write it by hand, which is a process that can't be scaled. And once people take that perspective, we know it's about quality, we understand the changes in the content process, then there is nothing that speaks against using content automation. This is a real-life example, 15,000 product descriptions in 6 different languages. This is about several hundreds of new products and content that I need. I mean, if you have a look at that, you are well aware that it's not possible to do that. And many companies we talk to say they can't cope with the need to internationalize their content. Although the EU is a large domestic market and the EU makes it easy to do commerce in a way that it would be possible, but because there's no content, and this is why it's impossible. For instance, if you want to have your products listed in a French search engine, a price search engine, you need Italian or French content. In both countries, the search engines refuse German-speaking content, so it has to be made available in the country's language. As long as I cannot do that, I can use my website in English, but whenever I want to have content be visible in the price search engines, it's no longer possible. So the question is, what does the translation cost? Can't I automate it? And what is the quality of the outcome? That's the question we're going to speak about. And in how far can I use it for my purpose? There's one specific example I want to show to you so that you see the process. If you're not an AX customer yet, this is a Zalando example. On the left-hand side here, you see the data source. This is the PIM system. And you see that the product type is a fine knit cardigan. I hope that the simultaneous interpreter agrees with the translation. Then we've got cashmere angora as a material. The color is gray. It's for romantic occasions. We've got buttons and more data. This is just an excerpt of the information. I update the data. This is the user with a beard uploading the data through a REST API or a manual upload to a CSV file. And then I have to configure my rule set. I have to write my text, derive a rule set from it, defining what do I want to say about that cardigan. And here at the bottom, you see the content outcome. And we see that it is not only a text full of gaps. It says that it's cashmere and angora, there's gray, and there are buttons, but there's more. We can make statements that turn the facts into USPs for the customer. The buttons, for instance, there are buttons that I can close when it gets chilly outside. And it gives me a warm feeling, and cashmere and angora, it's a velvety soft feel, for instance. This is what we can do. We can derive things from the facts that we have to define once. And when we're talking about buttons on a cardigan, the machine could opt for formulations saying that the buttons, when you close them, is very pleasant to wear, particularly when it gets chilly. And if you have Kashmir and Agora, it's a very soft feel, for instance. This is the point after configuring the rule set, the computer starts writing the content and delivers it. And in the application, we just added what you see here, get insights on results. You've got a dashboard you can use to measure the success of your content on your websites, where there are gaps to fill, where you can follow up with good ideas and improve and to generate a better result with the product content and the category pages. This is a good enhancement of the dashboard. Those customers who use it, and I'm apologizing already that it's a German example, because we are also speaking about German and English. We have different use cases in different languages. This is the 6th use case here. This is Schäfer Shop. And as we were speaking about the cardigan of Zalando, here we've got the source data. They refer to DIN A4 paper, 75 grams in white, one of the typical packages. I'm sure that you all know what I'm talking about. And implementing with Engine, this is the result. And what is very nice is that wood-free at the end of the text, holzfrei. There's also an explanation which says that the wooden substance lignin was removed, and this states that the paper doesn't yellow. I didn't know that before. I wasn't aware that this topic of lignin is. This makes sure that you can archive the files, for instance, or accounting documents that you have to store for 10 years. If you use a different type of paper, it can yellow, and that wasn't correct in the way it would have been archived. That's a nice additional information. And as the question arises, I might need a second text for another marketplace, or I have a similar product. I just click on the button a second time, and you see that there's a different content, different from the original text. And again, you've got the same facts and figures that are mentioned. But what's exciting, for instance, is that the lignin, that the reference is described differently. You find it at the lower part of the text. Here it says that binding documents like files, contracts that are supposed to be archived. For this kind of documents, take a wood-free, non-yellowing paper as a mean of precaution. It's the same fact. It says that it's wood-free, but it's described differently. And even if the customer was to put the two texts next to each other to compare them, to compare the texts, the user would learn something new. And the length of the text is different. So obviously there have been more than one change. Schäfer Shop, the copywriter team, implemented it. And as we're talking about use cases, I have the pleasure of showing you another slide that was given to us by Schäfer Shop. It's not our slide, but I have taken this slide from a Schäfer Shop presentation. And if you have a look at the numbers reported by Schäfer Shop themselves, have a look at it. The average cost per text is €3 instead of 26. This is the internal calculation for the content generation. €3 isn't the end. It can even be below that. The plan is 2 to 1 euros, so to lower the cost even more. The team has been able to draw up 30,000 texts in an automated way. In the past, the amount was 2,000. And there are new products that can't be published with text because they just didn't have the time before, but now they have, and the text is available at article level, no longer at product level. And when speaking about use cases, what is important is that the average order value is 10% higher nowadays with the automated texts than before. When speaking about the content quality, one very important quality indicator is if the company can raise their benefits, their results, because that's what matters. And we can see that the higher order value, the average shopping basket value purchased by the customer increased, which is good. But what I'm very happy about is the smiley at the end. Happy copywriters. This is what it was called here in that presentation by Schäfershop. This means that the copywriters weren't dismissed. This is a discussion that comes up time and time again. No, they're very happy with their work because for the first time, with the aid of the text engine and the work they invest in the configuration of the machine, they're able to provide content for all the products. It's not such a dissatisfying undertaking, lagging behind a work that they can't cope with. It's impossible to implement. But to really have a possibility to cope and to satisfy the demand, that's one thing. And of course, find new results, come up with the latest development and implement changes in terms of regulations, for instance, very fast, and to not perceive that as a dead-end road and be faced with an overwhelming task. There's another example I'm pleased to share with you. This is billiger.de at product level. If in the search field you enter iPhone 12, for instance, as has been done in this specific case, you see a black box on the website. This emphasizes the product description. Everything that follows on that page has been drawn up in a fully automated way. The billiger.de staff, they do that themselves. They use the computer, they use the text machine, the content machine to draw up these texts. And here you find an English-speaking part of an interview with Bernd Vermaten, the managing director of Salute. This is the parent company of billiger.de. And he clearly says that 1 million texts were updated and 250,000 new texts were drawn up last year. This is referring to 2020. So this is a great statement. 1 million text updates. I mean, iPhone 8 was an excellent mobile phone just a while ago, but now I have to update it because now there's the iPhone 12, and you have to update the descriptions. So the iPhone 8 is described differently, a middle-class mobile phone, because there are new features, etc. So new content was drawn up, 1 million text updates and 250,000 new content items. And we're going to speak about the other customers. They have we're going to touch on that later on in more detail. Skate Pro from Denmark. I want to congratulate them because they just have been given 3 awards in the Scandinavian contest on the best online stores. They are extreme sports device providers like snowboard and skateboarding, etc. I'm sure that your children probably know this company if you don't. And here you see in the English segment, you can see it quite well, that in 17 languages, product descriptions were drawn up, 3,300 in 12 months with just 1 member of staff. This means 56,000 descriptions in total within 1 year. New products are added, etc. And I brought you one very specific case, and the SEO experts amongst us are illustrated why It's so much better to use automated content instead of translating it. You see that if you take the skateboarding text, they are talking about trucks. And if you translated it from English into German, it says that the skateboard trucks, meaning lorries in German. So it does refer to this big vehicle instead of the thing that applies to the skateboard. So there's a translation error, and it's difficult if the trucks are not translated in the wrong way. And so the difference is that with the engine, I have full control on the search engine terms that I use, and I don't depend on hopefully DeepL using the right keyword, putting the right text. They are Danish people. I'm sure they speak quite good German, but the trucks and the axles, the trucks, that confusing them with a lorry, that would be something tricky. Another use case, KLiNGEL, close from Stuttgart in Pforzheim. They produce in 13 languages, 200,000 new products they have, and they have automated content for the products. And it's not only 13 languages, but 8 different brands. And the tonality has to change. In addition to KLiNGEL, they have other private labels. And you can easily imagine that there's a lot involved in that, but also marketplaces, eBay, Otto, wherever they are present. And the content for the Esprit shirt has to vary from one time to the next, or for another branded product they are offering. And the requirements in the marketplaces are very diverse. At Amazon, to rank in an optimum way, I need a different content structure, slightly different as compared to the Google search. And I think that this is an essential part of the application. And so this is to show you the importance of this topic. 1 million euros per year, that's the business case, and that's a fact. And we're very happy about that as well. They have less phone calls reaching their help desk, the telephone help desk, because there's more information given on the product. For instance, about how to wash a certain product in the laundry machine. So there are fewer questions, almost going down to zero, just referring to the instructions with regard to laundry. I'm not speaking about something else. I'm speaking about the laundry. And this additional text managed to reduce this number of phone calls, and the saving is 1 million euros per year in these call center costs. Nestlé, we're talking about animal feed here, animal food, and I can't tell you more, but together with a partner, they drew up content. Not only our customers use it, we also have a partner network, of course, and they also like to implement projects. And this is what Nestlé did. They had a partner implementing the Amazon content. There was a 168% increase in the conversion rate, almost 3 times more, 2.5 times more turnover on Amazon. I mean, you can easily imagine the volume we're talking about if Nestlé does that. And it's also interesting to see if you participate in the pan-European program of Amazon, you can also be given subsidies to internationalize your content by the Amazon promotional program. Amazon is subsidizing European companies if they want to offer their products in different European countries with money and also services. We can provide you the access to that information. And one part of it is that the content is generated in the different languages, because that's an investment. MYTHERESA, I'm sure that some of you are aware of that. the category pages, and that's the topic of the next meetup, they have automated the drawing up of the category pages, and they have an increase of 80% in their visibility in the search engines of the pertinent analysis tools. The visibility has increased by 80%, so almost twice as much visibility. This is a very important success of cooperation with a partner doing the implementation. The customer doesn't use the engine themselves, but they use a partner, a service provider. And this is an outstanding success. We're rolling out more languages at MYTHERESA. I think Mandarin Chinese is currently being implemented, and we are looking forward to that. Simplified Chinese more precisely, and to be able to enhance MYTHERESA's visibility in China.